and welcome to the Easton Dig. My name is Katie Sprague, and we have 3 new stories for you this month. The Dig is produced, written, and filmed by all volunteers here at ECAT, Easton Community Access Television. Later on, I'll tell you how you too can get involved. Our first story tonight is a continuing one. We have part 3 of the 4-part series, Easton's Hometown Heroes. Those heroes are the soldiers who died in service of their country. Easton's VFW have dedicated squares around town for each. In part 3, we'll learn about the soldiers who died in the latter years of World War II and Korea.
As World War II progressed, the Battle of Midway, the Guadalcanal Campaign, the North African Campaign, the Allied invasion of Sicily, Operation Shingle at Anzio, and ultimately the Normandy landings on D-Day, the United States military committed to a 2-front war, and the ensuing casualties mounted. Anthony Sousa was born on March 25, 1924. Anthony's father was Anthony F Sousa, Sr. His mother died at an early age, and he had 1 sister. He attended Oliver Ames High School and would have graduated with the class of 1943. He was drafted in his senior year and was planning to return to school after the war. In a flight out of Charleston, South Carolina on April 11, 1945, his plane was missing. He was only 21 years old. Anthony's 1943 graduation issue of The Easterner reads, "Don't be fooled by his quiet way. It's men like him that are needed today." Private Brian Lawrence Nolan, United States Marine Corps. Brian was the son of the late Mr. and Mrs. Michael Nolan of Easton. He had 2 sisters, Virginia and Shirley, and 2 brothers, Arthur, who served in Europe in the U.S. Marine Corps, and Mark, also a Marine. Both brothers saw action in Europe. Mark died in an automobile accident in Easton shortly after returning from World War II. Brian attended schools in Easton. He played football, basketball, and was the catcher on the baseball team. He graduated with the class of 1944. Brian entered the service from northeastern Mass, joining the U.S. Marine Corps. He was missing in action in the Pacific area. He is identified on the tablets of the missing at Honolulu Memorial at Punch Bowl Crater in Honolulu, Hawaii. He died on May 11, 1945. Sergeant Evan T. Sharpe was born on December 16, 1922, and his family lived at 2 Bay Road in Northeastern. He was the son of Percy and Minnie Sharpe and brother of Lois, Eleanor, Jean, John, Arthur, and Alfred. He graduated from Oliver Ames High School in 1941. He worked at the Blanchard Machine Company in Cambridge and attended evening classes at the Franklin Institute. He enlisted in the Army Air Force and wanted to serve overseas. He was part of the 52nd ACFT Maintenance Squadron and stationed in Delaware. There he was critically injured while servicing the propeller on a plane. 3 weeks later, he died. He died on March 12, 1945. Sgt Paul E Farrell. Paul Farrell was born on February 1, 1917. He is the brother of Jim, Mary, Betty, and Patricia. He graduated from Canton High School in 1935 and attended Boston University. He married Dorothy Cook and they had one daughter, Maureen. His brother Jim was in the Army in Europe, and his sister Betty was stationed in the Navy in California. Paul and Dorothy moved to Easton, and their daughter Maureen was born in 1939. Paul closely followed the war news and learned of the deaths of some of his classmates. Although he was not subject to the draft, Paul felt he had to do his part. He enlisted in the Army Signal Corps and attained the rank of sergeant. On December 24th, a detail of buddies delivered Christmas presents to Japanese children. After the delivery, they drove to attend a midnight mass service when the Jeep they were in turned over. Paul died Christmas Day 1945 in Kobe, Japan. It was not until 1947 that his body was brought home. His interment is in the St. Mary's Cemetery in Canton, Massachusetts. Robert E. Chisholm. Robert was born on March 22, 1926, and grew up on Country Lane in South Easton. He attended and graduated Oliver Ames High School in the class of 1944. He had a brother Richard and a sister Helen. He entered the Army in July of 1944. He was a private in the U.S. Army 180th Infantry Regiment of the 45th Infantry Division. He was killed in Nuremberg, Germany on April 17, 1945. Robert F. Fernandez. Robert Fernandez was born on May 29, 1928, and attended schools in Easton. He graduated from Oliver Ames High School in 1946. His mother was Gladys Keating, and he had a sister named Judy. He joined the Army and was assigned to the 42nd Engineering Construction Battalion, and died in Korea on June 21, 1948. In his book on the Korean War, The Coldest Winter, David Halberstrom wrote, "To call it an unwanted war on the part of the United States would be a vast understatement. It was simply a puzzling, gray, very distant conflict, a war that went on and on and on, seemingly without hope or resolution, about which most Americans, save the men who fought there and their immediate families, preferred to know as little as possible." Easton's lone casualty during the Korean War, Robert Thompson, is a testament to that. Robert Thompson was born in Boston on April 7, 1934, and his family moved to Easton not long afterward. His father was Charles Thompson, and his mother was Frances Thompson McKinnon. He attended Oliver Ames High School. He dropped out, however, to enlist in the Navy. He had a brother Charles and a stepbrother Donald. He died in Baltimore, Maryland on June 19, 1953. Unfortunately, very little is known of his military career, and nothing is known of his death. He died on June 19, 1953, at age 19. He was a seaman apprentice in the U.S. Navy.
In part 4 of Easton's Hometown Heroes, the Vietnam War will be the focus. Next, we'll take a whimsical look at the Sheep Pasture Harvest Fair. The Dig team takes us on a walk around the fun, food, and festivities.
Hi
everyone, I'm Katie Sprague. I'm here with ECAT, and we'd like to welcome you to the 38th Annual NRT Harvest Fair. There are tons of local food and craft vendors here today, so we're going to check them out.
Crafts are great. The Lions are also supporting the group with snacks and things, and there's just a lot of fun. It's a nice way to support the NRT.
But I saw all the crafters back there, and I can't wait to take a break and go back and check out the crafters.
Meeting old friends, crafters I've known for years, and just the beauty of this land. It's such a prize for the town of Easton.
My favorite part is just getting out, seeing people in the community, hoping to raise some money for a worthwhile organization.
I mean, it's a great event. I like a lot of the crafters. I mean, they got a lot of different stuff out here.
Probably seeing the people come back every year. The same customers, people come back.
My name's Elaine Wright. I'm an artist. I live in Hanson. I've done this harvest show for 18 years maybe. One of my favorite shows to do.
My name is David DeMar. This is David DeMar. We're at Double D Concessions. We're selling cotton candy today. We've been setting up at Easton for the past about 15 years now.
My name's John Ippolito. I've been running this French fry booth for about 25 years for the NRT. It's my cook, John Fedorchuk, and his wife, Kathy.
I've been coming to the fair pretty much probably as long as I've had the fair. I moved to town almost 30 years ago, and we try to come every year.
They just asked us if we would come with my paintings, and it's been a good show. It's good.
My name is Kathy Bodio, and this is Sue Croft. And I have a little company called A Primitive Heart, is what I call this.
And just getting out and having a good time.
Great customers, very well received. A lot of my favorite customers come back from year to year, see what I have new and see the artwork.
Recently, I visited Chris Rappold of Personal Best Karate. Next is a profile of Chris, his studio, and a seasonal tradition that will warm your heart. We're here at Personal Best Karate on the Norton-Easton line. We're about to head inside and talk to owner and trainer Chris Rappold about his personal karate training, his business, and a charity he started called the Turkey Brigade. Chris, where did you learn your love for karate?
You know, I started probably my love for karate watching it on TV. I used to watch Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, and that was just the thrill for me to be able to see how they went into seeming impossible adversity, and they maintained their calmness. So I think from a very young age I always linked that martial arts was going to be my way to develop that within me. Every once in a while, you're fortunate to find something that just fits you like a glove, and from the moment that I did it, I realized that this was going to be that something for me.
What are your goals from here on out for personal best and for your own personal karate goals?
Katie, now I feel like I have more goals almost than I ever did. You're talking to me 2 weeks before I leave for Ireland. On Thanksgiving Day, I'll be over there competing for the final time. I'm going to attempt to win a 4th world title in karate, and that will end my international karate career. So I'm looking forward to that. As far as personal best, even though we've been here for 20 years, I really still see us in our infancy. The impact that the program's had on the children and the adults, and it continues to have on a weekly and monthly basis, is just inspiring. And I've seen children's grades improve in school. I've seen their focus improve, their confidence, the way they carry themselves, the way they interact with their parents. Adults, I've seen decreased stress, of course, weight loss, increased fitness. Just so many wonderful things. So I'm inspired by that, and I want to do it better and better.
Chris, we'd love to hear more about the Easton studio, if you'd like to talk a little bit about that.
Talking about the Easton School is one of the things that I love to do. And the reason is, as I said, it's headed up by my brother and sister-in-law. And I've consistently seen for 10 years the love and care that they give each and every student. It's simply amazing. We'll have children come in the karate school. Some of them, very, very good kids, but some of them just lacking a little bit of self-control perhaps. Maybe some of them coming in with their chin down. And I'll watch over a period of months what will happen to the child, and when I see them the next time, all of a sudden their chin is up and they're walking proud, and their push-ups are better, and their execution of movements are good. It's really exciting to see. As far as the adults, we have a very robust adult program over there as well, and the differences that we're seeing in adults over time is excellent. We have some that are joining our program and they've never exercised before, or they haven't exercised since college, and it's like they're finding a different side of themselves, or maybe a side that they kind of lost a long time ago. With that correct level of instruction and motivation that I think the Easton School so famously provides, it's really just nice to see all of the impact that they're having over there.
So Chris, what does the Turkey Brigade entail?
Well, the Turkey Brigade is a community service project that we've been doing for 16 years now. This year we're going to feed over 2,800 families, so we're very excited, grateful, and proud about that. The children in our school and the families participate in a fundraiser walk-run that happens in early October, and that raises the lion's share of the money for the Turkey Brigade.
How do you guys go about putting the meals together?
That's a fun part of what we do. We have an event, we call it Turkey Brigade Packaging, and it happens the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And we set up an entire gymnasium in Mansfield. St. Mary's is set up in a conveyor belt fashion. We'll have the turkey cooking tins is the first station, and then it goes to the squash and to the potatoes, and somebody takes an empty tin and they migrate all the way around, filling the tin full of all of the fixings. It's brought to a table. It's wrapped in saran wrap with a bow. There's a card that our students have made that's inserted into the tin, and then it's piled. When packaging is complete, the next day, people come in and they participate in the delivery. When somebody comes into delivery, they're going to walk in and they're going to see a gymnasium floor filled with turkey baskets. And by the end of the day, what we need to make sure is every single basket has made it to its home. Now what that's like, Katie, is people come into the gymnasium and they're going to see all of the baskets on the floor. They go up to the table and they tell the person that's behind the table how many deliveries they'd like to make. They get that many maps, which maps them from St. Mary's to the home destination. They go to the freezer truck outside, and they're going to get that same amount of frozen turkeys from the freezer truck, and then they're off on their way, making a lot of families happy in our community. And, you know, over the years of doing this now for 16 years, I've noticed that some families have really made this a part of their Thanksgiving tradition. Their children have grown up with making these deliveries the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and it's a nice tradition. It helps to give special meaning to the holiday of Thanksgiving.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this month's Dig. We hope you liked it enough to get involved yourself. Do you have an idea for a segment? Is there an intriguing person or local business you'd like to see profiled? Would you like to learn the magic behind the camera? Contact us. We'd love for you to join us. This is Katie Sprague. Thank you and good night.